Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. The end goal when arguing with your Filipina. Let's talk about that. This is part 4 of a review of excerpts from a book by a divorce attorney named James J. Sexton called If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late. And I'm reading from an article I will link, as well as link to his book. The comments will be from the writer of the article, quotes from the lawyer, and my own. Today we'll talk about arguing with your Filipina. It's not always a bad thing. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea and get notifications for upcoming videos, as I want to be as helpful as I can to Westerners to live with the Filipina they go to great lengths to see and marry, and dealing with arguments is a necessity. Comments, of course, are encouraged. A divorce lawyer's guide to arguing. This is from the writer of the article. James argues for a living. He tells his kids he won't argue with them for free because it wouldn't be fair to his paying clients. Luckily, this means he has learned a lot about what works and what doesn't in dispute resolution, especially in the sphere of marriage. Here are a few of his key principles gleaned from all too many conversations with people who were ending their unions. Number 1, don't be obsessed with being right or winning. Don't be obsessed with being right or winning. If you try to win every single point, your reward will be a bonus round where you try to win as much as you can in the divorce proceedings. From If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late. Shoot for resolution rather than full satisfaction. When it comes to the person you love, you can concede once in a while. Which is more important, having your perspective on an issue validated and the ego gratification of being right, or the feeling of connection that comes with being both understood and understanding, which is more important? The feeling that you won the argument, or the feeling that you're winning at the larger game of love and companionship? And then point number 2, keep the discussion focused on the topic at hand. This prevents you left the lights on from spiraling into, why are you a subhuman troll not worthy of my love? From If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late. Keep disputes focused. Don't take current behavior and start extrapolating larger trends in the relationship, because in the moment it might seem like a good idea to get them out in the open and hash them out. Such leaps are dangerous and they're dirty pool. Number 3, don't start arguments over things that cannot be changed. Do you have a time machine? I doubt your spouse has a time machine, so don't get into arguments over things that can only be resolved with a time machine. From his book, sure, there are times when your spouse did or said something stupid, and they're likely to do it or say it again if the behavior is left unchecked. In those circumstances, it might be worth having an argument. If you're just holding a grudge and upset with your spouse about something unrelated and it's impossible to change or undo, then tread lightly. The writer adds, so what should you do during a marital spat? Before you open your mouth, think about the part of them that you fell in love with, and then imagine that the next thing you're going to do is pay a visit to James. From If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late. Imagine you're going to lose your spouse today, that they're going to leave you today because of something you've done to them. How would you treat them then? Exactly as you think they would want to be treated, right? By the time I see couples, they've reached a point where it's almost impossible for them to remember that the person they're about to divorce was once the person they loved more than anyone in the world, the person whose happiness they would do anything to bring about. Solid couples who have hit a rough patch sometimes suffer a similar amnesia. If you conjure an image of your partner's best self and address that person, you can often diffuse a fight or break an impasse. There was this comment, which is more important, feeling that you won the argument or the feeling that you're winning at the larger game of love and companionship? Here are my thoughts. Of course, you're not competing with your Filipina, but many times it can feel like it if you don't take a deep breath, stand back, think the situation over, and then speak. Like the Bible says, be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. This is a sign of maturity and gets easier with practice. It is better to be able to come out of an argument with mutual understanding. There have been times I've needed to go with my wife's perspective, even if I didn't agree with it, because I thought the benefit of doing it her way was greater than the benefit of me doing it my way, and I had a strong opinion about it. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was the beginning of our marriage, so I went with what she preferred to do. If I was to always insist on doing things my way or try to make the point that I always knew best, then I would be minimizing the knowledge, experience, and perspective that my Filipina wife brought to the relationship. It would not be fulfilling for her to be married to me in that environment. At the outset of our marriage, obviously, I wanted to show her I could lead her and make good decisions. However, that didn't mean I didn't need her input. The fact is, we need each other's opinions. We are blending two cultures along with the age gap, and we both of us need to try to see where the other is coming from. I want to lead our marriage, but at the same time I need to be patient and realize there is a balance of making things happen and letting things happen. Expecting too much from her or attempting to control her is going to lead to disputes. A Filipina won't care how much you know until she knows how much you care. Conceding is just plain smart. I defer to my wife on things like clothes to wear and where we go on vacations because she is happier that way, and she has made good decisions. I agree with James J. Sexton to not be obsessed about being right or winning. There was this comment: keep disputes focused. Don't take current behavior and start extrapolating larger trends in the relationship, because in the moment it might seem like a good idea to get them in the open and hash them out. Such leaps are dangerous and they're dirty pool. Now me, I call this overreacting, and I have done plenty of that. We might think a couple of instances of something is going to end up being the norm, but sometimes it doesn't. If you're not careful, you could make a non-problem a problem. Absolutely try to keep the discussion on the topic at hand. I might be aware of a need to send some money back home and then think that this is going to be happening all the time. Sometimes we try to head something off of the past when it isn't necessary. And a comment mentioned in this article is, if you conjure an image of your partner's best self and address that person, you can often diffuse a fight or break an impasse. Now me, while I tout the virtues of a Filipina wife, it still takes effort and self-restraint to make it work. I remind myself of how awful I feel when we have an issue. I remind myself about our love story, how a guy who'd been alone for 30 years almost gave up on finding someone to love and be loved by before meeting a Filipina online who would give him a chance. And I have been giving her my best ever since. She is my best friend. I think about her all the time, and for a reason. She makes my life complete. I can't imagine a better woman for me. This I must be thinking about when in a disagreement with my Filipina wife. Something that can help you stay married to a Filipina is the subject of my next review of the James J. Sexton book. If you're in my office, it's already too late. I'll talk about staying interesting to yourself and your love beyond the sea.